We've got a lot of things that have been kind of developing over the weekend. President Trump taking the extraordinary step of demanding the Department of Justice investigate whether the FBI had a spy planted in his presidential campaign. The Wall Street Journal has identified the suspected informant as Stefan Halper, an American who was a foreign policy scholar at the University of Cambridge. The DOJ responding by asking its watchdog, the Inspector General, to include that in its current probe of FBI surveillance methods. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein saying in a statement, quote, if anyone did infiltrate or surveil participants in a presidential campaign for inappropriate purposes, we need to know about it and take appropriate action. House Republican Devin Nunes also weighing in on this.
If they ran a spy ring or an informant ring and they were paying people within the Trump campaign, if any of that is true, that is an absolute red line.
Well, for more on this, let's bring in attorney David Bruno. David, good morning.
Good morning, Cheryl.
So, okay, first off, let's talk about the timing of all of this. Now, Rudy Giuliani has now said that Mueller told him that the portion that involves President Trump would be wrapped up by September 1st if President Trump decides to speak with Mueller. That's the big question. From a legal perspective, is it a good idea for the president to sit down with Mueller?
Yeah, I've been on the show numerous times saying absolutely not. I do not think so. He is a target. He doesn't know the questions. Now, I'm not privy to the communications between Giuliani and Mueller as to the contents of the questions and the scope of it. But generally speaking, rule number one, criminal defense, the answer is no.
All right, let's talk about the other issue. Could all of this backfire? I mean, do you think that Mueller could do something that could actually expand the investigation, find something in an interview with the president that would expand the investigation?
Well, what's also been reported is that Mueller said that he would not indict Trump. So certainly good news when it comes to the president. But that does not mean that any of his family members or any other associates within the campaign can be charged or investigated. So it all depends. It all depends on the questions. It all depends on the information that President Trump would provide in that statement.
Now, we've gotten this report from the Wall Street Journal about this alleged spy is one word, informant, whatever you will, within the Trump campaign. Rod Rosenstein, coming to action right away, saying we are going to look at this, we are going to investigate. Of course, we saw President Trump's tweet that I showed you at the beginning of the segment. So, do you think that this could be actually a turning point, a good turning point in the investigation of the president?
Sure. Well, President Trump's tweet says that he's going to formally make a recommendation today. It was interesting to see that AG Rosenstein jumped out in front of it and said that he'd refer to the Inspector General. It'll be interesting to see if that's enough for the president publicly here, because the Inspector General does not have prosecuting powers. They do not have the ability to compel witnesses that don't work for the feds. They're simply a DOJ watchdog. They have independent, internal powers to investigate. So I don't think this is going to be over in what the president or Congress is going to want from the DOJ on this point.
You don't? Okay, but obviously the question is the midterms. I mean, obviously we don't want to see this investigation kind of hanging over the midterms. That would seem to be political purposes. And also really quick, I want to go back to the issue of Barack Obama here for just a second. If indeed we find out at some point that it was the Obama administration that directed this informant, let's use the word informant, to infiltrate the Trump campaign, could President Barack Obama be called into this, potentially to testify?
Well, this is a page right out of the federal playbook when it comes to criminal investigations. So let's be clear. It is not a crime in and of itself to use an informant or a cooperating witness to further a criminal investigation. We know from the Papadopoulos information and that plea that an investigation started in July. So if this is the case, the DOJ used this individual as an informant, cooperating witness, it's not a crime in and of itself. However, if it's an abuse of power, if it's used improperly, if it's used to target or bring down a campaign, then there could be questionable conduct.
David Bruno, thank you for getting up with us on this Monday and talking about this breaking news. We appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, Cheryl.